They say the world has no more secrets left to find, but here are the most unusual findings that'll make you question what's really out there, hiding in plain sight. This mountain biker's trail ride took a wild detour when he stumbled upon a forgotten tracked military vehicle lying overturned in a woodland stream, slowly being swallowed by nature. Here in sandy soil, this abandoned 1945 German retreat dump yielded MG-42 belts, K-98 ammo, flare rounds, and 5 Panzerfaust launchers, many still in original packaging. Renovating Coffeyville's historic Midland Theater, workers found nearly 20 wallets stashed above a janitor's closet, untouched since the 1950s, holding photos, notes, and a 1951 bank passbook. How about a fully functional Cold War relic? This Polish-Czech 8x8 amphibious carrier from the 7th Warsaw Mechanized Division seats 18 soldiers and hits 94 kilometers an hour. The next digger, wading through a swamp, pulled out a perfectly preserved Soviet World War II helmet from the mud, still green, still intact, 80 years after it sank. Teen volunteers on a pre-army dig in central Israel unearthed 845 grams of 24-karat gold coins sealed in a clay jar for 1,100 years, still gleaming as if buried yesterday. Building Mexico City's new airport, workers hit Mammoth Central, an ancient lake bed trapping 200-plus Colombian mammoths, 25 camels, and 5 horses. Now, the world's largest mammoth graveyard. Demolishing Pablo Escobar's Miami Beach mansion, workers found a locked 317-kilogram safe hidden in the floor and its contents still unknown. Potentially gold or diamonds. Forget mushrooms, this metal detectorist searching dense woodland unearthed a massive, live Civil War artillery shell fired 159 years ago. This hiker pulled a World War I bayonet from the Verdun forest floor, where an estimated 12 million unexploded shells still lie underground today. Discovered 5 meters underground in Alexandria, this 27-ton black granite sarcophagus held 3 skeletons and red liquid, sparking a viral petition to drink it, which Egypt firmly declined. These relic hunters pulled a German MG-42 straight out of the mud that fired 1,200 rounds per minute and terrified Allied soldiers across every World War II front. Archaeologists at Great Basin National Park stumbled upon a Winchester Model 1873 propped against a juniper tree with its stock buried in 10 to 13 centimeters of accumulated soil and its owner still unknown. Digging for a water tank in Hull, England, workers struck a 2.6-meter, 998-kilogram cast-iron cannon buried for 90 to 100 years, likely dating to the late 17th century. That's one digger's haul from a World War II battlefield. A Soviet helmet, 12 grenades, stick grenades, anti-tank mine, shell casings, and a field canteen, all still intact underground. A metal detectorist's deep search with a Minelab Equinox 800 pulled up a perfectly preserved Bronze Age dirk, a stabbing dagger over 3,000 years old. A World War II Japanese Type 88 anti-aircraft gun still sits in the jungle near Koror, Palau. Its 75mm barrel could fire 15 to 20 rounds per minute and hit targets up to 9 kilometers away. Cornwall's Predenac Airfield hides a ghost fleet of decommissioned Royal Navy jets and helicopters open to the elements. Built in 1941 against the Luftwaffe, it now serves as a fire rescue training ground. Some cabins still have original seats buckled in, decades after the last flight. Each year, frost and erosion push over 500 tons of live World War I shells to the surface near Verdun. mustard gas rounds included, still dangerous after 100 years underground. Here's a 57-meter World War I Navy vessel that once hosted Thomas Edison and appeared in Madonna's Papa Don't Preach. It now rots in a Kentucky creek 4,200 kilometers from the ocean. Dragged from the woods after 25 years outside, this rare Honda CB750 Honda-Matic is a 262-kilogram automatic inline-4 that was frozen solid but refused to be written off. Rumored to be buried since World War II, captured German World War I trophies, including a howitzer and 4 machine guns, finally surfaced during amphitheater construction at Vancouver's Hastings Park. Urban explorers encountered an eerie indoor swimming pool completely reclaimed by nature. That green water is covered by a dense layer of thick moss and wild grass. A Polish metal detectorist found a massive World War II artillery shell wedged under tree roots, so large the tree literally grew around it, over 80 years of forest floor burial. Concealed beneath the forest floor near Firth, this World War II bunker's rusted hatch still opens to intact corridors, with original ammunition racks still bolted to the walls inside. A Texas woman walking along a creek stumbled upon a vertebra that turned out to be 2 prehistoric marine reptiles, a rare polycotyledon plesiosaur and a mosasaur skull, both nearly complete. A metal detectorist's lucky beep in 2021 led to Britain's largest Iron Age hoard, with 800 plus artifacts, including chariot parts, cauldrons, and harnesses for 14 horses buried 2,000 years ago. Stretching across a moss-covered hillside near Firth, Germany, these concrete World War II dragon's teeth, each 90 to 120 centimeters tall, are remnants of Germany's Alpine defensive line. Lost for 30 years after a landscape change buried it deeper, a 1983 Aspen time capsule surfaced containing Steve Jobs' personal Apple Lisa mouse, thrown in moments after his visionary computing speech. During Stalin's anti-religious purges, thousands of churches were stripped and repurposed as granaries. This one still holds its industrial grain dryer, frescoes fading on the walls behind. Hidden in Tver Oblast's forests, this 18-meter hollow fiberglass sphere baffled locals for decades, believed to be a Soviet radar dome, before finally collapsing in 2021. Captured by Germans and ditched in a bog during retreat, this Soviet T-34 emerged after 56 years, holding 116 shells. Luckily, here, corrosion slowed considerably. The legendary Su-37 Terminator, the thrust-vectoring supermaneuverable jet that stunned the world at Le Bourget in 1996, was found here, just propped up on tires. On Peleliu, where 10,000 Japanese soldiers fought in 1944, this 37mm Type 94 anti-tank gun sits exactly where its crew abandoned it, consumed by jungle. Soviets deliberately buried these 8 British Lend-Lease Hurricanes in a forest ravine south of Kyiv to avoid repaying the US, found 80 years later by metal detectorists hunting an unexploded bomb. Digging for drainage under America's oldest city, construction workers hit a perfectly preserved 1800s fishing boat 2.4 meters underground, sealed in oxygen-free silt for over a century. A creepy eyeless porcelain doll found in someone's attic concealed a surprise. Cracking it open revealed a vintage Westclock's gold pocket watch stuffed inside. Somewhere in the Balkans, an overgrown Cold War airfield hosts a silent row of abandoned MiG fighters that once scrambled on intercept missions, now slowly surrendering to grass and rust. Straight from a horror movie, behind a wall in his uncle's house, this guy discovered a concealed door leading to a basement staircase, already half boarded by a previous owner who had the same idea about leaving it alone. In a Lincolnshire field, explorers found a wild mix of decaying classic cars, light aircraft, and boats, plus the former Butland-Skegness monorail car, retired after ferrying holidaymakers around Britain's most iconic holiday camp since 1965. This weathered naval buoy washed ashore at a beach near Odessa, a common but eerie sight on the Black Sea's dangerous coast. Here, the battlefield excavation team dug up hundreds of rusted World War II weapons and artillery shells laid out in rows and cordoned off, representing one field's worth of war still buried underground. Somewhere in the open steppe, a curious digger unearthed a massive Soviet drilling rig head from a cattle field, a forgotten piece of industrial equipment buried beneath decades of grazing land. Dropping down a hidden shaft in Paris reveals a subterranean military outpost instead of historic stone. The dark chambers hold a multi-stage rocket and a pristine fighter jet. This find is an M3A1 Stuart light tank armed with a 37mm gun on Solomon Islands, where 13 of these supported the U.S. 43rd Infantry Division in August 1943. Pulled from Bahamian waters after 300 years, this corroded flintlock rifle once belonged to a Caribbean pirate or buccaneer, a weapon accurate up to 75 meters. Explorers trekking Namibia's Skeleton Coast stumbled upon a 94-meter cargo ship sitting in the middle of the desert. Wrecked in 1909 fog and swallowed by sand ever since. Two men once squeezed into this 24-meter Type A midget sub on Kiska Island. Japan blew it up rather than leave it behind, and it's been sinking into the tundra ever since. Metal detecting an abandoned World War II military base, a detectorist dug up a Colt Model 1903 pocket pistol, the elegant .32 ACP sidearm favored by U.S. officers. Untouched for decades in a forgotten workshop near Versailles, a dust-coated Citroën 2CV and Renault 4L sit exactly where their owner left them, specs still stenciled on the bodywork. Thousands of perfectly round boulders, up to 4 meters wide, were found in Kazakhstan's Torish Valley, formed 60 million years ago on an ancient forest floor, yet still puzzling scientists after 250 years of study. Discovered in a mountain pass, these enormous twin coastal gun barrels, each over 6 meters long, were built to sink warships and simply left rusting inside their concrete bunkers after 1945. Discovering a secured Belgian warehouse, urban explorers found tanks, vintage buses, aircraft parts, and intact Cold War radio interception equipment, an entire military operation frozen in time. Buried under Guadalcanal jungle since 1942, this Grumman F4F Wildcat with an 11.6-meter wingspan once held the Pacific Line before crashing here. Here are rows of discovered Cold War howitzers and field guns with price stickers, entire NATO artillery batteries available for private purchase. Explorers found an abandoned Soviet MAZ-537 artillery tractor rotting in a field. This 8-wheeled giant was designed to haul ballistic missiles weighing up to 50 tons. Still pointing skyward on the same beach where it was stormed ashore in November 1943, this Japanese Type 89 129mm twin AA gun rusts in Tarawa's surf, untouched for 80 years. Discovered rotting in a Shropshire yard, this moss-covered Lincoln Town Car stretch limo still has its minibar and TV intact. Once ferrying VIPs, it's now sinking into a puddle on flat tires. These former coal colliers, SS Airfield and SS Mortlake Bank, sit rusting in Sydney's Homebush Bay, their hulls so overgrown with mangroves they've become floating forests. Surfacing from a dig somewhere in the Middle East, this jewel-studded leather reliquary and rolled Syriac manuscript featuring Christ in a crown of thorns may be centuries old. Stumbled upon behind a countryside temple in Gunma, this 10-meter Buddha face carved into a cliff was the 6-year obsession of a single amateur sculptor, largely unknown to the world. Rescued from a barn where it had sat since 1957, this Bond Mini Car Mark D is a 3-wheeled British microcar powered by a 197cc engine, one of only 3,761 ever built. Still pointing seaward on Beshio Island since 1943, this Vickers 8-inch naval gun was one of 4 that opened fire on the invasion fleet before battleship shells silenced 3 of them. Deep in the Peleliu jungle sits the upside-down wreckage of the American Sherman tank, Otto. On October 18, 1944, it hit a landmine while attacking caves and remained here. Crawling down a rabbit hole in a Shropshire farmer's field, explorers found sandstone chambers carved with arches, candle niches, and cryptic symbols linked by legend to the Knights Templar, though historians date them to around 1800. Residents of Madura, Indonesia panicked after finding a crashed UFO in a field. It turns out it was a publicity stunt for an Indonesian sci-fi comedy, fooling thousands online. Someone cracked open an old wooden chest and found what appears to be gold bars and ancient artifacts inside, the kind of find that makes every treasure hunter's hand shake. A detectorist digging in a field pulled a gleaming gold crown straight out of the earth, the kind of find that rewrites whoever owned that land's history if it turns out to be real. At a once-occupied village, a metal detectorist dug up a Russian Imperial Army belt buckle, 2 enemies' histories locked in the same patch of earth. Explorers stumbled upon a cast-iron 1938 Bolinder hot bulb engine, a Swedish-designed marvel that ran on crude fuel oil, once powering sawmills and grain threshers. Wandering through a forest, this metal detectorist stumbled upon a completely forgotten Soviet-era tank with trees growing right through its frame. After cracking open a buried copper pot, a treasure hunter pulled out a complete set of ornate gold-plated silverware with every piece perfectly preserved. Moving into a century-old UK house, Jill Barrett found a mysterious trapdoor under her floor, pried it open with an old knife, and discovered a 3-meter-deep secret chamber below. Renovating her Michigan basement, a woman ripped out flood-damaged ceiling panels and found hidden, threatening letters signed X-Shadow, addressed to people who, after research, all turned out to have gone peacefully years ago. This stone-carved figure, a cross-legged deity with open jaws in pre-Columbian style, sat hidden in nature, and its origin and age unknown to whoever stumbled across it. Near a temple in Thailand, an enormous human-shaped footprint in Iraq baffled discoverers. Locals believe Buddha himself left it, while scientists have no better explanation. This Riga team stumbled upon a massive rusting Soviet steam locomotive with cab controls remained in their original position, parked and forgotten on overgrown tracks. Here, 2 men dug up heavily rusted tank drive wheels, gearbox housing, and transmission parts from a birch forest, the relics of an Eastern Front battle. Driving into what seemed like an empty underpass, someone stumbled upon a fully established hidden campsite with regular inhabitants who clearly claimed it as home. Digging a pedestrian underpass near Vatican City, workers uncovered a 1,800-year-old Roman Falonica, a mosaic-floored open-air laundry built inside a converted imperial residence. Deep on a logging road, these guys found an old school bus converted into a full off-grid home, along with propane, kitchen, bedroom, and electrical panels still inside. Right during tearing up a parking lot at Dinosaur National Monument, workers struck a 24-meter Diplodocus, the first new fossil found at the site since 1924. Tunneling under Los Angeles, subway workers struck an 11,000-year-old Ice Age graveyard. Mammoth skulls, mastodons, camels, bison, and horses buried just beneath Hollywood Boulevard. A Brazilian treasure hunter dug up a buried leather handbag stuffed with rotting banknotes and a pistol, someone's hidden stash now worth nothing but questions. Digging past a radiator, then layer after mysterious foam layer, peeling back packaging that screamed treasure, she only discovered a Morton sea salt shaker inside. A metal detectorist dug up a perfectly preserved imperial bronze bell cast in 1864 with its inscription still crisp. At a Texas antique market, someone found a complete 1896 Victorian horse-drawn funeral hearse still with carved columns, glass sides, and black drapes after 130 years. This metal detectorist guy dug up an old bullet still sealed inside its original lead casing, a rare, intact find from one of history's most fought-over soils. A Citroen C5 found perched on a shopping cart in a deserted alley, and a Peugeot 206 burnt to a shell in an abandoned garage. Not the kinds of finds you expect from France. An honorary cultural heritage inspector found an ancient encrusted cannon lying on the seabed off Fontane Bianche near Sicily, likely from a centuries-old naval battle. This accidental discovery was made while police were searching the backyard and found a stolen 1952 Ford Anglia buried in pieces, along with illegal weapons and ammunition. Hauled from a creek using magnets and rocks, a waterlogged safe cracked open to reveal not gold, but hundreds of foreign coins, Honda keys, a VHS tape, and gift cards. Renovating a 1920s Kansas City home, contractors cracked open a porch column to find 20 to 30 late 1940s Falstaff beer cans and bourbon bottles, someone's secret drinking habit perfectly preserved. These metro workers digging at Sydney found a 1790 Australian hardwood trading boat sealed in pitch, still holding colonial-era ceramics, glass, and animal bones after 230 years underground. Tearing down walls in Elmer, New Jersey, workers found letters from the 1870s hidden inside, including a husband's heartfelt 1878 letter to his wife, perfectly preserved for 150 years. A Turkish farmer walked out to his field to find a huge black dome sitting in the grass with his cows, but it turned out to be fallen rocket debris, not a spaceship. A carpenter demolishing a closet in a 100-year-old Kansas City home broke through a plaster wall into a vault door. Behind it, 30 Prohibition-era moonshine jugs and Pendergast gin bottles. This Lithuanian digger spread out dozens of World War II grenades, shell casings, canisters, and battlefield relics from a single field. One spot, one afternoon, one war's worth of leftovers. Digging in their backyard in Guernsey, a young couple accidentally broke through into a massive World War II German flak bunker with multiple rooms, passageways, and original wartime fittings still there. A World War II rifle was found fully absorbed inside a tree trunk. The tree grew around it over 80 years. It's now displayed at Tallinn Military Museum. Tree and gun together. Renovating a 1600s Tudor home kitchen, a man found a whole 300-year-old well hidden under the floor, and it still contained old bottles, a chamber pot, and murky water at the bottom. This weird discovery is a 16.5-meter art installation in Germany. A fake jet made from a slurry tanker and old caravan, complete with an EU flag. A Brazilian treasure hunter dug under a fallen tree trunk and found old silver coins, crumbling banknotes sealed in plastic, and a small bronze pot. A perfect find. This handyman inspecting a Florida home found Civil War cannonballs in the crawl space, including a rare chain shot designed to destroy ship masts after 160 years. After searching hundreds of kilometers across southern Poland, explorers finally located a rare intact Ringstand 67, a German World War II bunker built specifically to mount salvage tank turrets. This metal detectorist hit an Enigma hotspot, pulling up rotors, base plates, thumb wheels, and bakelite fragments from an iconic smashed Enigma cipher machine with serial number 19314 still readable. Walking Beshio Beach in Kiribati, a visitor stumbled upon two rusted Japanese artillery pieces still lying in the turf, exactly where they fell during the 1943 Battle of Tarawa. Pulled from the ground by a metal detectorist, this Wehrmacht K98 bayonet with its 25-centimeter blade once fitted Germany's most iconic World War II rifle, issued to over 14 million soldiers. And that wraps up today's most unusual findings. Let us know in the comments which one shocked you the most, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next videos.